Good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 1373. Happy Monday. Cheers to a new week. What's going on? How about the Chicago Bears won a game topsy-turvy final weekend in the NFL? I know there was some amongst us Bears fans, there was some like inner kind of like what I mentioned yesterday morning was like, do we root for the Bears to win and potentially cost a couple draft pick spots, or do we want a loss so we can move up in the draft positioning? So the Bears won, and we did lose a couple draft pick spots because it was kind of a crazy day. We'll talk about the NFL today. I did some shipping yesterday. I did a lot of listing yesterday. Did a big listing weekend, which hopefully turns the tide around. January's starting off slow, much better than last year. 2024 first quarter was my worst, and I'm a baseball and this is like typically the biggest baseball. January, February, March, big baseball time. January, February, March were my worst sales months in 2024. I got to turn that around. Need to turn around 2024, and I want to obviously build on the second half of 2024 and keep those sales coming along. Auctions are a big part of that strategy going into 2025. I've got about 600-700 auctions live right now, more going live tonight. Of course, Tuesday, tomorrow night, we do our eBay auctions live. We'll be streaming right here on YouTube tomorrow night, starting at 7 p.m. 99centcards.com. That's where you can find all the good stuff. Buy 7 or more cards, buy it now at regular price, and you'll save 25% off at checkout. And of course, you don't need a 25% discount on auctions. Auctions do not apply for the discount, but you're going to get some great deals. People have been getting some steals and deals on my auctions. So check those out, 99centcards.com. More auctions went live last night. So, and that's been a lack of auctions here in the first week of January. That's kind of why I'm behind. Now, we're 5 days into January, but I'm a competitor. I want to look and I want to see my numbers better than last month. They are not right now. It's not too bad. And I've only had, I think, one auction night in the first 5 days of 2025. So, and I know looking at my numbers compared to December, I'm down about 3%, just under 3%. On net sales from the same time period in December. But a lot of that is because I had a lot of auctions the first 5 days of December, not too many auctions here in the first 5 days of January. So if I can flip that, we've got a ton of auctions running this month. Hopefully we can turn that around and get some higher sales here and start 2025 out with a bang. I've noticed prospects really heating up, and I touched on this a couple days ago, where it feels like Christmas is kind of when I start seeing prospect sales really start. No, I wouldn't say boom, but pick up. And I've certainly seen that in the last week to 10 days, where prospecting, people picking up minor league Bowman cards for minor league prospecting and autographs. So that's a good sign. I came down here last night and I grabbed a random box. I wanted to get some buy it now because I guess I've listed a bunch of player lots this weekend. But I haven't put a big batch of singles in since I think Friday. So I wanted to end the weekend with a batch of singles on buy it now, which I did last night. I came down and I grabbed a box. This is the fun part when you get kind of overwhelmed with inventory from like Goodwill. And I know there's a bunch of boxes I haven't gone through that could have some decent stuff in them. Can't stop yawning this morning. So I found a box and I looked through and there was some like early 80s stuff, like 81 Donruss, 82 Donruss. And so I grabbed this box and I'm like, oh, there I saw Mike Schmidt in there. I'm like, okay, so I didn't go through this box thoroughly, right? I probably skipped through but I apparently did not look through this box at all. No, nothing crazy, but I did find about 100, 150 cards. Those are in my eBay store, 99centcards.com. Something I did find and I am saving for Tuesday night auctions. There was a stack of 84 Fleer, including the 84 Fleer Don Mattingly rookie cards. So that's going to go live at auction tomorrow night. I listed some Cubs, not listed, but logged some Cubs on Trading Card Database. I ended up logging about 100, 150 cards on Trading Card Database. So moving on up there. And you know what I did last night for the first time ever in this house, at least? I used our workout room. We have a very small workout room. We've got a treadmill and a new step, which was given to us by a family friend. They didn't want it. We're like, well, put it in our workout room. And I've used it a couple times, I used it once to test out, and then I think I might have used it a second time, like very briefly. So I did not leave my property all weekend. Friday night, I think we ordered pizza Friday night. I went and picked up pizza on Friday night, and then I did not leave my property still yet. Ernie gets to go back to doggy daycare this morning, so that's a happy trip for both of us. So I do get to leave the property today. It was like house arrest, self-appointed house arrest, but it catches up to you. And so I got a lot accomplished this weekend, shipping and listing and shipping, and a little sorting too. And but it finally, like yesterday afternoon, it was really catching up to me. And I'm like I feel even though it's like I'm eating decent, I'm not on like some crazy Tom Brady diet, but I'm still doing well with my eating habits. And but I still just felt like, and I'm sure it was because lack of movement, and I don't work out, I don't exercise. So I came upstairs, had dinner, and told my wife, I'm like, I think I'm gonna jump on the elliptical. And she goes, we don't have an elliptical. And I'm like, that one thing that we got. It's like the treadmill. And I'm like, no, the other thing. And I don't know what it is. It's some type of bike. Because it's where you do this. So it worked. So I got my iPad out. Usually I only use my iPad on the plane, or on the treadmill, which I haven't used in 2 years. So got the iPad out. It still had a charge. It's like my iPad's like 10 years old. So like not like Amazon Prime is the only thing I can use on. I can't even the YouTube app is out of date. And I forget what my Apple code thing is. So I have no idea what that is. What my password is. So I just go to Amazon Prime. So I watched as I was on the new step. I watched a documentary on the band Chicago. It was very intriguing, and I got like a 2-hour long documentary. So I think 45 minutes on this thing. But I'm like feeling it. I'm feeling it, and because I'm using, like, I did this, and so here's what this thing is. The new step TR4 was designed to help cardiovascular patients rehab. There you go. And so I've got a history of high blood pressure, so I guess it works out. So that's what I used last night. So worked up I was just drenched, absolutely drenched. And so here we are. I worked up a sweat. That's good. Hit Monday. Hit it hard Monday. What else? The Bears won. That was crazy. Who else? The Panthers won, which was also crazy. And did the Patriots beat the Patriots beat the Bills? I can't remember. But I remember I was scoreboard watching, and some crazy shit went down in the NFL yesterday. So we'll talk about the Bears. The Giants had a chance to beat John's Eagles. Eagles sneak away with a 1-touchdown win. Panthers beat the Falcons in overtime. Jaguars took the Colts to OT, but the Colts came out on top. These are teams that the Patriots did beat the Bills. Broncos crushed the Chiefs. Jets won. Jets, Jets. The Jets beat the Dolphins. So crazy. So I think the Bears. Let's see. The Browns lost on Saturday. So the Raiders lost. So I think the Bears winning cost them the 7th pick. So if the Bears would have lost that game and all of the other, so the Panthers and Jets. So I think they would have picked, if the Bears would have won and the other results held the same, I think the Bears would pick 7th in the draft, but they picked 10th because the Bears won. All right, let's go say hello to the chat. Cooter's in the house. Good morning. Scott is here. What's happening? Todd is here. Good morning. JK Cards in the house. What's happening? Orlando is here. Good morning. David in the house. Good morning. Brian, how about Brian? He says, good morning. I'm here to accept my name that record point. I can't get one on Fridays, but I can spot a shitty team. How about Brian? Now, if you predicted the Bears to go 5-12 at the beginning of the season, like, okay, yeah, that would have been fair. I predicted they would go 10-7. If you would have predicted the Bears to go 5-12 at the beginning of the season, like, good job. You got it. But to predict the Bears to go 5-12 when the Bears had already started 4-2 and Brian says they're only going to win 5 games. I'm like, you're fucking crazy. That means they have to go, what, 1-11? No, that's not going to happen. I told him, you're crazy. That's a stupid prediction. But it was right. Man, you should have put money on that. Maybe you did. You should have called Vegas and been like, hey, is there any bookie that'll give me the Bears 5 wins? Wow. That was bold, and it ended up being correct. The Bears won 5 games. And at that point in time, the Bears are 4-2. I'm like, you're crazy. They're going to win 10 games. And I stuck to that prediction until it was like mathematically impossible. Like, okay, the Bears can't win 10 games now. Maybe next year. Maybe the Bears can win 10 games next year. But I'm not because they're probably gonna fuck up the coaching search because it's just the Bears thing to do. They've done it multiple times in the last decade. So it's not just the players on. I mean, Caleb Williams had a phenomenal rookie year. I mean, he had one of the greatest seasons as a number 1 overall pick at quarterback of all time. Like one of the best seasons by a number 1 overall quarterback pick. But collectively as a team, they sucked really bad. And the coaching sucked really bad. And the GM, Ryan Poles, put together a shitty team that sucked collectively really bad. But they're going to keep Ryan Poles, and he's probably going to hire a lame duck coach because they'll probably go 6-11 next year, 7-10. Ryan Poles will get fired, and we got a lame duck coach. New GM comes in, and here we go again. So I don't have faith. I don't have faith the ownership will make correct decisions. And we're stuck in football. We're stuck in NFL purgatory. The Chicago Bears are in NFL purgatory. David says Patriots were worse. Backup quarterback Joe Milton actually played well, and they beat Buffalo to move from picking first to picking fourth. Yeah, that's like a Houston Texans move. It was like, which is probably like a good, like, this is a good thing. Teams, I mean, unless you're a Patriots fan and like, hey, we want the first pick, but this is good. You're not tanking. Like the Bears got the number 1 overall pick 2 years ago. And because the Houston Texans won, the Bears were like just sitting in the passenger seat the entire year. Like, well, the Bears aren't going to get the number 1 overall pick. And then all of a sudden, things went their way or didn't go their way. And the Texans, thank you, Lovie Smith, the Texans win a game. And that put the Bears at the number 1 overall pick, which they traded away and got the following year's number 1 pick. So things bounced in the right direction for the Chicago Bears. Maybe they will for the Patriots. But I think was it the Raiders? I think the Raiders were aligned for the number 1 overall pick at one point, and I think they're now picking 9th or 11th. The Giants were in the driver's seat. And out of nowhere, kind of like the Bears a couple of years ago, the Tennessee Titans will now pick number 1 in the NFL draft. Kind of just backdoored themselves into the number 1 overall pick. JK Card says Bears finally snapped the losing streak to the Packers, stretching all the way back to 2018. And if it was against any other team, I would have been like, God damn it, we could have had the number 7 overall pick. Why did we have to win that game? But it's the Packers. You've got to beat the Packers, which the Bears haven't been able to. So good to see. I'd really be afraid to be a Packers fan because they suck. Like, they are not a good team. The Bears almost beat them earlier in the season. The Green Bay Packers were a fingertip away from not winning a single game of the division. Packers were 1-5 in the division in the NFC North. And that one win was against the Chicago Bears, where it took a fingertip blocked field goal at the closing seconds of the game. So Packers are not good. I think they're going to get blown. Do they play the Eagles in the opening round of the playoffs? So I think the Packers are going to get blown out. John says Bears will get to 10 wins by May. I stand by this. Andy Mack says Bears undefeated in 2025. Hey, that is true. That is truth. The Bears are 1-0 in 2025. John says, this may come as a surprise, but I see prospect sales as one of the biggest flaws in the hobby today. This does not come as a surprise. I'm curious why you think prospect sales is a flaw. And I would, depending on what your stance is, I mean, prospect sales have been part of the hobby for 3 decades or more. Going back to Kevin McReynolds and Greg Jeffries and Sam Horn, where they were back then, you didn't have Bowman for prospects, but you had rookie cards and Kevin Moss. And then as you got into the 90s, then you had prospect sales, Brian Taylor. So it's been a flaw. If it is a flaw, I don't think it's a flaw. I make money on it, so I don't think it's a flaw. But if you think it's a flaw, it's been a flaw for a few decades now. It's collecting for all the wrong reasons. In fact, it's usually not collecting at all, therefore not hobbying. I will agree and disagree with this point. It is speculation, and it's typically prospecting is to make money. It's a form of gambling. My Dylan Cease collection was that, and then I started collecting 1 million Cubs, and I'm like, well, I'm just going to keep them now. They're Cubs cards, and I've sprinkled some sales in here and there. I've got duplicates of this, so I'll sell some, and I made money. But there are sales within prospecting. Remember, I sell low-end cards. I'm not selling first Bowman Chrome Purple Refractor autos. I'm selling Bowman paper. And those sales typically are for hobbyists, whether it's team collectors like me, whether it's player collectors, or in many cases, a lot of my customers are autograph collectors, whether it's through the mail or in person. So they're getting ready for minor league. Oh, this guy's going to be in my local minor league team. I'm going to stock up on, I've got some Bowman next to me. LP Langevin. So he's with the Royals. So wherever the Royals play single A or probably single A for that guy. So a lot of my sales actually are prospecting sales are for hobbyists. As we approach spring training and baseball season, they're stocking up on, well, this guy's probably going to be in my league, in the Midwest League where I go autographing, or if they're TTMers. I sell a lot of cards to TTMers. Mike Schmidt is the greatest third baseman of all time, by the way, says John. Not Anthony Rendon. I think I've got an Anthony Rendon that just went to auction, by the way. Serial numbered. Philly Joe's in the house. Probably won't sell. Good morning, Philly Joe. Brian says, I use the prospectors to find my collection, selling the cards I don't want to afford cards I want. There you go. John says, kudos to you, Brian. I liken it to Kroger being into farming. JK says, how much of a nightmare was it to move all of your cards to your new house? Did the movers do it or did you do it yourself? It was a nightmare for the movers. I had movers do it. It took 60 man hours. It took 12 hours with a crew of 5 to move all of my cards. Not even all of my cards, because I moved probably 2 trucks. I moved all of my eBay store inventory and my higher end collection. I moved myself. Like a lot of stuff that's on, basically everything that's on display. I moved my bobbleheads. It was in a couple boxes. Stuff I have display over here. All of my eBay store inventory I moved myself because I worked out of my old house until we actually moved in. So yeah. So with the exception of a couple 100,000 cards, probably roughly 3 million cards were moved by the movers, which you may not have been around, but I left the stream on. I think the first day the movers came, so that was enjoyable. But the owner of the moving company came in to do his walk through, oh yeah, this is going to take us this time, we'll do this blah blah blah. So he comes down. He played college baseball. He played college baseball at Louisiana, not LSU, but maybe it was Southeast Louisiana, one of the Division I's in Louisiana. There's a few. So we're talking baseball and we're looking at looking all the stuff. And he's like, yeah, we can bang this out in a day. And I'm like, I don't think so. Because there's all this and there's all this and there's some over there too. And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, maybe, probably a full day and maybe some cleanup afterwards. Just, picking up a few boxes randomly. And I'm like, okay, whatever you say. And then it took parts of 5 days. And he's like, he's like, you guys can't move again because we're not moving those cards. So, but I spent a lot of money. My 2023 expenses rose considerably with the expenses of moving my entire collection and inventory. Bo needs a man shop. John says, first time watching live. I live in Cali and never up this early. Welcome, John, to the live stream. Yeah, it is early for you, 5:30. John says there is a Hobby Evolution episode where the movers come midstream. Might be the greatest hobby content ever. We need to find that episode number. I did delete the moving part of the stream, I think. So I don't know if, but it's probably pretty easy to find because it would have been in July of. It would have been early July of 2023. So I can probably tell you pretty quickly. It was so episode 1000 came in September of 2023. So it was probably in the 900, September, August, July. So roughly 60. So it was probably around episode 950. So somewhere 940 to 960, somewhere in that area. The National was in there, so that would have been like 5 days. So it wasn't exactly 60 days. So 5 days for the National. Probably a couple card shows in there that we took off. I took off for the actual move, and I might have taken a few days off for the move also. So it was probably in the 940s, that episode number. Michael Renicky, good morning. JK, not a Peloton. No, a New Step is what it's called. John says, your Apple ID might be on your phone. It is. My password? I know what my Apple ID is, but I don't know what my password is to access the Apple Store. Because it's automatically, I go into my Apple Store here on my phone. I go into, where's the Apple Store? App Store. Boom. And then if I want to download an app, I just double click it and it downloads. But my iPad, it requires a password, and I don't know what the hell that password is. Peter's in the house. Good morning. Zach says the New Step TR4 was designed to help cardiovascular patients rehab. John says my wife got jazzed up when she saw Bo's vintage bike machine. Zach says, ironically, where you were at in your exercise journey, this is a perfect machine for you. There you go. See? Wet like a dream about John. Ooh. John says, I imagine Bo in a sweater vest, mom jeans, and dangling earrings pedaling away. Christian, good morning. Happy Victory Monday. How about it? Go Bears. John says, John's Eagles had 0 starters playing on either side of the ball. I didn't think they had enough players to rest everyone, still beat the Giants' first stringers. John says, yesterday was an awesome day to see players reach incentives. I think Geno had a huge payday. How about Mike Evans, which perfectly timed. I've got a Topps Chrome rookie card of Mike Evans ending, I believe, tomorrow night, Tuesday Night Live. It is now bid up to $7.50. I think I paid 75 cents for that card. It's a Madison Card Show pickup a couple weeks ago. He earned a $3 million bonus, Mike Evans, for hitting 1,000 receiving yards in a season. I believe it's his 11th season in a row, hitting 1,000 yards in a season. John says $6 million in bonuses, I believe, for Geno. Cooter says, just past the Tiger King Zoo, very nice sunrise happening. I know kind of where you're at, but it was dark on our drive there and on our drive back. John says, Brian smarter than Bo. That's an understatement. Brian says, one time, just this one time. What team does Brian support? I forget. I think he's a Bear. Oh, no, he's a Chiefs fan. JK says, I imagine Bo riding the biking and listing cards at the same time. Almost time to upgrade to that Anchor Store, although that's a hefty jump from 60 to 300. So, and I think I touched on this yesterday. So that is, I don't know at what point. It's not like I'm going to hit the Anchor Store in June or I'm going to hit the Anchor Store by 2026. I will go to an Anchor Store at some point. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm kind of flushing out old inventory. I'm giving my store an enema is basically what I'm doing. I'm flushing out the old crap, and we're sending some to auction. So a lot of the auctions that went live last night, those were old stale inventory. It's like, okay, we're just going to throw it on auction, and so I'm going to do that. Instead of just deleting inventory, like I deleted tab 4L a couple of weeks ago, like, this is stale inventory. But also I probably will do some of that because I'm not going to put that stuff at auction. Bunch of 1986 Topps football commons. I'm not going to switch that to auction, 99-cent auction. Not going to do that. Maybe penny auctions. Not going to do that. Not going to do that either. But that would be something where it's like, okay, like my 2024 Topps Series 1 bulk. Still moving some. So once I start noticing, okay, I haven't sold anything out of this box in a week or two, but I'm still on a regular basis, I'm selling singles from those cases I ripped in 2024. So that'll keep me under that 60,000 listings. And we'll just kind of keep going, and I'll keep an eye on at the end of the month where we at. So at the end of December, I still had 1,500 openings. This weekend, I converted some that were about to relist, so I don't have that going against my count for the month. Throw those at auction. Some of them I'll just let roll over. Sometimes it'll be like, okay, tab 3K, you're done. And I'll just replace it, put a new tab 3K, put new inventory in tab 3K. So I will be upgrading to an Anchor Store. Yes, it's $300 a month. At some point, I would imagine at some point in 2025, I will upgrade to an Anchor Store. Probably not in first quarter. I think I'll have enough space to just convert to auctions and list a lot of what I'm listing. There's a heavy focus on auctions right now. Where I don't want to disregard buy it nows. So like last night, I did about 150 buy it now singles. Over the weekend, I did a bunch of player lots too. So I don't want to completely forget about buy it nows because that's a steady stream of income. But auctions is easy money, maybe under comps on most of it. But it's an easy sale. So at some point, maybe in the second half, maybe third quarter. What's third quarter? July. Yeah, July. So maybe the end of third quarter is when I upgrade to the Anchor Store, and who knows? Maybe start a second quarter. John says it's been done before. Look at Washington. Card Collector says there was no reason to win that game. The Bears purposely slaughtered my parlay. They purposely won the game. That's kind of what they want to do. They want to win games. Brian says, I'm a Chiefs fan. Hate me all you like. Card Collector hates the Bears. I hope y'all draft another bad quarterback. We won't. Well, hopefully we'll draft an offensive lineman. Hopefully he's not bad. Mr. Archer is here. Good morning. John says, they are definitely hateable, Brian. John says, Buffalo, Philly, Super Bowl. I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't hate a Buffalo, Philadelphia Super Bowl. What's the bracket? I want a Lions Super Bowl is what I want. NFL playoff bracket. So I would hate that. I don't want the Eagles in the Super Bowl. I want the Lions in the Super Bowl. I would hate Philadelphia in the Super Bowl. Let's see. Here we go. CBS Sports. What we got? That's a funky ass, bro. How the fuck do you read this? All right. So we've got, I'll share the screen. So here's what we got for the playoff bracket. Let's see. I want to do that and that. All right. So can I click on this? No. All right. So we've got Chargers and Texans. I really don't care. I have no care in the world. Chargers or Texans. Jim Harbaugh, Chargers. Let's go Chargers. All right. So we got Chargers. I'm going to root for the Chargers over the Texans. We got Steelers, Ravens. I'm going to root for the Steelers. Ravens are one of those teams, and I think we probably each have one of those teams in every league where it's like, I don't know anything about this team. They're not in my area. I don't care about them. So I don't want them to win. And that's the Baltimore Ravens for me. And then we got Broncos and Bills. I'm going to go for the Bills, but I don't care. If the Broncos won, okay. But it's the AFC, so I really don't have any horses in any of these races. So I'm going to say Bills. I don't understand this bracket, though. Oh, the Bills have a bye. Okay, is it no? I don't understand. I don't understand this bracket. So we got the winner of Chargers, Texans playing the Chiefs. So only one team gets a bye. So Chargers, Chiefs, Steelers, and why are there two spots? Is that what the fuck? I don't understand this bracket setup. This is CBS Sports. Your bracketeering sucks. So anyway, AFC, I really don't care. Chiefs, I'd like to see the Chiefs or the Steelers. I wouldn't hate if the Bills. So one of those three teams, Chiefs, Steelers, Bills, and I really don't care. Over on the other side, Rams and Vikings, I'm going to go for the Vikings, and we'll have a rematch, Lions-Vikings. And I'm rooting for the Lions all the way. And then we got the Washington Redskins, Commanders, Guardians, whatever the hell they are now. Washington playing the Buccaneers. Gosh. Buccaneer. I could name one player on the Buccaneers, Mike Evans. Who else is that? I don't even know who the hell the Buccaneers quarterback is. Washington. Jaden Daniels, I guess. So I get Jaden Daniels, rookie quarterback. They're always exciting, so maybe Washington. Packers, Eagles, go Philly. Fly, Eagles, fly. Smack the bitch up. Go Eagles over the Packers. So out of the NFC, there's really that's like Lions are about the only team that I would want to win. Like, I don't want any of those other teams in the Super Bowl. So I want Lions, Chiefs, I guess. Lions, Chiefs, that's my Super Bowl. A pair of number one seeds. All right, where are we at? Card Collector says, I have a question. Since I know you guys have your own card shops and such, I just have a card basement. I don't have a shop. How do you guys feel about collabs between athletes and artists? I have no thought on that. No thought. I have no opinions on that particular topic. John says, I watched a lot of games yesterday, a lot of bad teams with some hope. I also watched the Raiders. The Raiders have zero young talent on offense, probably defense as well. There is no hope in Vegas. Brian says, John, I've been a bad team fan and a dynasty fan. I'll take dynasty every time or something like that. Yeah, the Chiefs had a lot of shitty years. Card Collector says, I won out of 111 Micah Parsons X King Saladin custom art card with a certificate of authenticity. Pretty cool card. Tiger727 says, as a Packer fan, I don't think they have much chance of winning next week. I don't think they do either. I'm a little biased, though. John says, I've been a bad team fan and an Andy Reid dynasty team. I'll take bad team fan any day. Michael Renicky in the house. Highlight of each Bears season is the draft, and this year it is in Green Bay. There you go. So we get to beat Green Bay in Green Bay and root for the NFL draft. Go Bears. Brian says, John, wait, what about Brock Bowers? There you go. Brock Bowers is good. John says, I don't exaltation of players based on the very far future. I prefer a hobby built on a player's body of work. Mark is here. Good morning. I'm not sure how you go through the Goodwill pallets. I've spent 6 days trying to sort a vintage collection. Well, it's a lot of fun. There is a lot that goes into it behind the scenes. Absolutely. Absolutely. The Goodwill pallets is, I would say a Goodwill pallet is probably easier to go through than a vintage collection because everything in a vintage collection is good stuff, most likely. Whereas in a Goodwill pallet, like 20,000 cards are just tossed, but I have to go through it. So it is kind of a pain in the ass at times. John says, it did start in the 80s, and it doesn't mean I think it's good. I collect based on passions for history in the sport. I don't collect on the hopes my net worth climbs. But what I'm talking about is a lot of my sales, my prospecting sales are not for net worth. I sell low-end cards, and I'm selling a lot of my stuff based on collections. Somebody wants LP Langovitz because they're a Royals collector, or they want to get his autograph. And most graphers are actually collectors. That's like one of the biggest misconceptions when you walk around a crowd of graphers. And you're like, well, the backpack guy. I'm a backpack guy. And I only graph the Cubs, and I keep all of them. So now, will I sell some eventually? Probably. I mean, you can't keep them forever. So, but I collect them because it's a passion, it's a hobby. I enjoy looking back and going through a binder of spring training autographs from 5 years ago and be like, oh, I didn't realize I got this guy's autograph. So a lot of that is collector based for my sales. Now, when you get into first chrome autos and the shiny stuff, then it's probably a different story where it's prospecting for money. But when you're selling paper base, it's typically hobbyists like you. Todd says Raiders are a mess, but Brock Bowers is legit. Set records with terrible quarterback play. John says your wife will tell you the least valuable house in a great neighborhood is more valuable than the most valuable house in a shitty neighborhood. Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. And that's just common sense. John says the best thing I can say about Rendon is he walks the walk. He doesn't care and he doesn't hide it. I recognize the Brock Bowers situation. That team, however, suffers from the top down like the Bears. John loves to sort. Sorting is the root of collecting. Fun fact, you can change your password for your Apple ID. Interesting. Jags just fired their coach. Now the Bears can go after Doug Peterson. Oh, God. John says there may be more teams needing coaches by the end of the day than teams that have coaches. John says, another John. John says, Bo, how do you break down Series 1 in your store to turn a profit? I'm in the relatively early stages of building my store. So basically what I do, and this is I'll be doing this here in about a month, I guess, when Series 1 releases. So I'll buy a case. As soon as it comes, I rip into it. Remember, I do this full time. So, I'm able to rip and flip very fast. And that's the key to doing it for profit. So I'll rip as fast as I can. As I'm ripping, I'm sorting. I'm sorting like into hundreds. So I'll open a pack and, it's cards 515, 519, 520. Of course, this is early Donruss. So all of the 500s, they go into a pile. The 500 pile, next pack, same. I'm sorting up 70, 100, so they go usually piles of 100, and then I'll break it down later. Inserts, each insert gets its own pile. The hits go in their separate pile. Once I'm complete, I will list the hits first, and then I will list inserts using Car Dealer Pro. Hopefully the checklist is up. Usually it's not, so it's a little longer process to actually get them listed. And then I'll sort all the base. And sometimes there's a little, I might do one step a little differently or do this in a different order. But that's typically how I do it. And it's speed. It all comes down to speed. The faster you can get it up, the more profit you make. But that's what she said. So it's all about speed. And as long as you get your case, you can't wait a week. If you get your case a week after release, you're not going to make money. If you get your case a day after release or 2 days after release, you're going to make less money. If you can get that case on release day or hopefully a day early, that's the key. And if you have the time to rip and flip, I would take days off. When I worked in the office, I would take days off. If I was ripping a case of Allen and Ginter, I would take the next day off. Okay, it's going to be delivered on Wednesday. I'm taking Thursday off so I can rip and flip this case of Allen and Ginter. I wasn't doing that often. It's not like I was taking a day off after every release, but usually once or twice a year I was doing that. So that's the key. It's all about speed. Make sure you get it at release and getting those listed as fast as you can. That's all it is. Even a caveman can do it. John says, Bo, if everyone is selling Series 1, then how do you turn a profit? Not everyone is selling Series 1. That's the thing, because just like buying Goodwill pallets, most people don't want to go through a pallet of garbage, essentially. Most people don't want to rip and flip top Series 1. So there's not that much. There's a lot of competition. There's not much competition. Your following has a big, I have 4,600, 700 followers to my eBay store. I do volume on eBay, so I have a big following on eBay that also drives sales. So that's a big part of it as well. Card collector sounds like a fun guy at family gatherings. We love to be hated, playing right into our hands. Max says Lions Bills Super Bowl. I'd be on board with that as long as it's the Lions. As long as the Lions are in the Super Bowl, I'm on board with it. I'd prefer Bills, Chiefs, or Steelers, but any other team, as long as the Bills are in there, I don't care. Card collector says, why can't you be a more lovable Chicago team like the Cubs? I don't know. Zach says, I want Philly to meet the Lions in the NFC. Bills to the bowl, then Diddy does halftime show instead of Kendrick, and the game gets canceled because of the slippery baby oiled field that Sammy killed Rick. Everyone except the Cardinals likes the Cubs. And Brewers fans hate the Cubs. Brewers hate the Cubs. One bye. By golly, the Bears win. How about it? Chiefs play worst seed in their first game. Todd says one bye and they reseed after the wild card round. Oh, well, that's interesting. I didn't realize that. Zach says, rumor has it that brackets are harder than finding your Apple password. Apparently. Sports card ripping teacher says, Zach, how does Philly play the Lions when the Packers beat them? Vince has jokes this morning. The great Baker Mayfield. Oh, of course. And he's having like a record-setting season. Of course, Baker Mayfield. Chiefs have a bye. That means they might not have the worst seed. Bucks QB is T.Y. Hilton or Reggie Wayne, both Hall of Famers. Baker Mayfield, Tampa Bay quarterback. T.Y. Hilton killed Ricky Henderson. Well-rested Chiefs. Uh-oh. JK says 2025 Top Series 1, rip and flip needs to be done right on opening night, even after a week of the product out. Sales decrease dramatically. Yes, they do. I'm guessing that's Bo's game plan. It's always speed. If I get it on release day, then easy money. Easy money. Zach and Porter says Freddie Mitchell coin flip for Eagles game. Vince, question mark. JK says that and Bo has a large following already and sound presence on eBay. That's another key. And I think that's something I kind of gloss over and don't I don't take it for granted, but I fail to realize that that's a huge. And I talk about this when I used to talk about how auctions sucked, and they still do. Auctions do suck at times. Check out my auctions, 99centcards.com. They suck for me as a seller, but you as a buyer get steals and deals. So get your bids in now, 99centcards.com. But look at the biggest sellers by volume on eBay. The consigner, DC Sports. They do great. And it's not shill bidding. Now, does that mean there's shill bidding going on with some of these the bigger accounts on eBay? Might be, especially the consigners. Well, somebody wants the most money for their card, they're going to bid on it, right? So does shill bidding happen? It probably does. And how do you police it as eBay? How do you police shill bidding on consigners? Very difficult to chase that paper trail. But these accounts have huge followings. So why do the big time sellers on eBay, why do cards go for higher prices? Because they've got bigger followings. And if you have smaller followings, and even 4,000 or 5,000 followers is a small following, comparatively speaking, to the big accounts. And you can't compete with that until you grow and get a bigger presence. Andy Mack says Brock Bowers isn't young talent, question mark. Sports card ripping teacher laughs and says my stained glass Bowers says he is a good player. John says highlight of each Bears season is their yearly unveiling of their stadium plans. John says you folks should keep up with the chat. I'm a Lions fan, says Todd. We know about cheering for bad teams until recently. Yeah, I'm here for it. I am here for the Detroit Lions. John says you're not ripping cases in the hopes of accumulating just common base to sell. Nope, certainly not. But they do sell, by the way. at release. And the perfect example of how shitty today's hobby is, someone saying their stained glass card proves a player is good. How fucked up is that? Well, there is a correlation. There's a really in-your-face correlation between hobby prices and talent. There's a reason that Barry Foote cards don't sell as well as Ernie Banks cards. And it's not because the hobby is fucked up. It's because of a pretty big talent disparity. So there is a correlation there. John says, I have a PCA patch auto from Triple Threads coming from a brick. Ooh, nice. John's old. He doesn't know. John says, I'm doing it with draft. Did 1 to 200 in the paper, made a variation listing. John says, Card Dealer Pro sucks for new releases, but I'm okay for it. And here's why. You can still use the template and everything is boom. All your settings are there. Now we pay for the AI, but understandably, AI is not going to recognize a product that was just released today. So I give it a leash there. I wish the checklist got loaded faster because the checklists are typically released. And since I do have a skin in the game for Top Series 1, as soon as that checklist comes out, I'm going to be hitting up my friends at Card Dealer Pro and be like, hey, the checklist is out. Please make sure this is loaded in Card Dealer Pro before release date. When is release day for Top Series 1? 2025 Top Series 1 baseball. That maybe they haven't released. They've been really slow at it doesn't even look like a release date has been set yet. It just says February. Dairyland Picker, what's happening? Buy as much as you think you can list in 24 to 48 hours. There you go. There you go. Top Series 1, though, I am not going more than a case. One case is plenty. And one of the kind of the measuring stick is you make your money on the base. You make your money on the base. That's where, you can't rely on hits and inserts to pay the bills on ripping and flipping. You've got to grind, and most people don't want to do that grind work, and that's why there's less competition than there could be. But as I look at my Top Series 1 from last year, there's still a lot of cards in there. Do I want to double that? And it becomes the law of depreciating returns once you get to multiple cases. So I think I'm good with one case. Just looking at what's left over. John says, I have the 8170, but it's far from perfect. 8170 is perfect. The 8170 is perfect. The only thing that's a knock, and this is a knock on every scanner, is chrome and refractors. Like that's just for feed scanners, the Ricoh 8170 is perfect. John says, first to market also leads to a ton of eventual ghost listings. Have fun cleaning your stores out. Cooter says, the hobby was at its best when we judged the quality of a box based on how many cards you got that you needed. There you go. You can still do that. Top Series 1's a perfect example. You can still do that. John says, it only matters who the NFL wants in the big games, supposedly. Dairyland says, 70s, it's like you assume we sellers don't have other avenues to sell besides eBay. I pretty much only sell on eBay, especially new product. John says, I don't assume much about you sellers. Travis says, since you're doing auctions now, will you throw any Series 1 up for auction? Probably not. Probably not, because if I did, it would be on hits only. Like I'm not gonna put, maybe like a rookie card. Whoever the top rookie is, who's gonna be the top rookie? I'm failing to remember. Maybe like some here and there. But now that you mention it, this is a good idea. Because it will bring it will bring different sets of eyeballs to my store. So it is a pretty good idea to do some Series 1 auction. So yeah, I probably will. I'll be careful with what I list at auction because, as you know, I've got to be careful with what I list. Don't want to be giving stuff away. Brian says the hobby was better when there was allocation for all. Maybe that was just a dream. John says Brian is onto something. The most profitable avenues will be the ones the manufacturers seek out. That might be a bad thing for the first to market crowd. John says, I'm building a following more than trying to turn a profit right now. It's a good way to go. Perfect. John says, Greg Morris is the biggest player in my collecting sector. They get way over comps because of their following, as Bo says. John says, I still use Cardi the Pro for sure. John says, judging by the chat, Bo is gaining a lot of new listeners. Congrats on that. Sports Card Ripping Teacher says the win yesterday guarantees that the old lady wants to bring everyone back again next year. Prepare yourself for the wide receiver screens. I can also say that his stats show that he is a really good player. I was expecting him and Neighbors. They have 10 or 12 catches each to compete for the most rookie receptions. Brian says base Skeens won't be help Series 1. Paul Skeens. So he'll just have he'll probably have a gold cup card. It'll sell, but it won't sell as much as what. Who will the top rookies be in Series 1? Who are the top rookies in 2025 tops? Takes us to the blowout forums. James Wood. Oh, Dylan Cruz. Dylan Cruz will be a chase, but it's kind of light. James Wood, Dylan Cruz, Brooks Lee, Jacob Wilson, Kobe Mayo, Trace Sweeney, Jace Jung. Is it Young or Jung? Kumar Rocker. Jackson Jobe. Man, it's kind of a light rookie class. Philly Joe says case of jumbos or hobby boxes. I have not decided yet. I've not decided if I'm going to go hobby or jumbo. Last year, I think I went hobby last. No, I think I did go jumbo. Because jumbo guarantees autos, where hobby boxes don't guarantee anything. They guarantee a relic or auto. So you're basically in a case of hobby, you're getting out of 12 boxes, I think you're getting 3 or 4 autos on average. Whereas in a hobby box, you're guaranteed one auto per box. Or I think it's 3 hits per box, but you're guaranteed an auto. I can't remember what the wording is. Joe Caprino says, I bought a really cool scanning device called the Card Slinger. It helps take pictures really quickly for smaller lots and way less expensive than a scanner. Interesting. I've never heard of the Card Slinger. Sports Card Ripping Teacher, it's back to work. Got to make more money. Everyone have a great day. Enjoy it. Back to school. Uncle Rich, good morning. It's freezing in Dallas. Yeah, it's cold here. Cold. It's probably cold. If it's freezing in Dallas, probably cold just about everywhere. Do you sell the Series 1 set as well? I do not. That's a little chunk of cash back. It's such a pain in the ass though. And it's good for pre-sale. But then you run into that mathematical issue where, okay, I've got this reserved. It is a nice chunk. I'd have to go back and see like what the difference is. Because say on like Dylan Cruz, maybe at release you get $5 per rookie card. But on a complete set, you might only get $25, $30, $40, whatever that might be. So yeah, I don't know. Brian says, what's the difference? Never mind, you answered it. Scott says it's not freezing in California, not freezing, and probably not freezing in Florida either, or Hawaii. Brian says, oh, the card slinger is a 3D printed holder. Very cool. Interesting. All right. So that's what I had for today. We're an hour in. I'm going to go make some coffee and get Ernie to school. He's back to school for Ernie too. He gets to go back play with his puppy friends at doggy daycare. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure to visit my eBay store. It's 99centcards.com. Buy 7 or more cards at regular price, and not just cards, items. Buy 7 or more items at regular price in the Buy It Now section. You'll save 25% off at checkout. I did add a whole bunch of player lots over the weekend. So you buy 7 or more player lots, and you'll get that 25% off at checkout. And of course, don't forget my eBay auctions. More started last night. I'll have more starting tonight. And of course, tomorrow night, we go live with eBay Auctions Live. Starting at 7 p.m. Central, we'll count down the eBay auctions, and new auctions will begin. It's all at 99centcards.com. Last couple chats. Rich says, not related to Tops 1, but today is Shane's birthday. Happy birthday, Shane. That dude from Duryea says, I have found that other hits are in hobby boxes more than jumbo, and you can keep the Tops manufactured shit. Travis says, do doggy schools have snow days? They probably do. We haven't had any snow day. We had a snowstorm, and I held him back from school that day. But doggy daycare was open that day. So when there's like a foot of snow, I imagine they close. So there probably is doggy snow days. So we'll find out. But basically, if it's snowing enough for a place to close, we're not going to take Ernie to. We're not going to leave the house anyway. So. But I'm sure there are doggy snow days. All right. Like, subscribe. 99centcards.com is the eBay store. Have a wonderful Monday. We'll do this again tomorrow morning. See you then.